Hi, welcome back. I wanted to make a short video today on 3 mistakes people can make in trying to overcome their social anxiety alone. My reason for making this video is that many clients I've seen in my private practice come to my consulting rooms after trying various strategies and techniques themselves in attempts to help them cope with their social anxiety. You may be able to relate to some of the things I'm going to talk about. I believe firmly that if you know you suffer from social anxiety symptoms, it's important you seek professional support and hope you choose someone providing evidence-based treatment options, such as me. Now, I see this as I know many individuals are claiming cures for social anxiety and often using themselves as the role model, so to speak, as I cured my social anxiety and I can cure yours too. Sound at all familiar? Now, there's 3 take-home messages of things not to do in attempts to reduce your social anxiety, and I'm going to talk about each one today. The first is avoidance. And I'm pretty sure if you suffer from social anxiety, you've tried this one out, or maybe it's your primary method of coping now. Avoidance and social anxiety seem to make a lot of sense to those going through it. I can't count the number of times my clients have told me, but my anxiety just goes away if I tell them I can't go. I feel so much better. It works. And I agree. Unfortunately, the use of avoidance is successful in that it does take away the anxiety, but only temporarily. How long is it before you're again faced with social invitations or events and still you default to your avoidance once again? And once again, the anxiety decreases. And I guess this is okay if you have no want to be around people ever again and life doesn't involve social interactions or events. But how realistic is this? Not very. Life requires a certain amount of social interaction unless you're a Himalayan monk in meditative isolation for years. The problem with this coping strategy for social anxiety is that your anxiety and fear continue to plague you when you envisage and anticipate any upcoming social event or interactions, as you don't allow yourself to confront the feared situation, the barbecue, the work meeting, going to the shopping center, and show yourself that you can cope. You will increase the use of your avoidance behavior as you believe it is helping you by taking the anxiety away. You never learn that you can tolerate the anxiety symptoms. And quite honestly, you can, and I will be talking with you more about this down the track. The anxiety symptoms do decrease in intensity if you give them time. By going to the social event or situation, you allow yourself to experience your anxiety. And it is you falling over time, and this enables you to practically understand and believe that you can survive it. You don't internally combust. Everyone doesn't laugh at you, for example. Now, I know I'm making light of the predictive thoughts you most likely experience, but I'm just trying to get this point across to you. Sometimes humor helps. Sometimes. As believe me, avoidance halts the ability to learn how to tolerate and to master and learn strategies that work for the anxiety symptoms you experience. Sometimes I find talking through a scenario helps to create understanding on how avoidance creates further problems with social anxiety. Now let's take Kate as an example. Kate experiences social anxiety symptoms. She receives an invitation to dinner. The moment she gets the invitation, Kate begins to feel anxious and worry about the dinner. After that, she may think, nobody will talk to me. I'll probably do something embarrassing. Are these thoughts familiar to you too? They are very unpleasant and uncomfortable. If she decides to avoid the dinner by giving an excuse not to go or not turning up, her anxiety level will immediately decrease. Agreed? This is because she's taken away the perceived threat, the dinner, by deciding not to attend. Since her anxiety decreased by avoiding the anxiety-provoking situation, her coping strategy of avoidance is reinforced by the removal of the anxiety. Kate has now unproductively learned that avoidance is a highly effective yet unproductive coping strategy that takes away the unpleasant feelings of anxiety. Therefore, the next time Kate confronts a similar anxiety-provoking situation, she's likely to use the same method, avoidance. In the short term, this coping strategy may lessen her anxiety, yet in the long term, it interferes with her ability to overcome her fear and anxiety. Avoidance minimizes an individual's opportunity to learn that their fears are irrational, or at the very least, that they're capable of managing reasonably well in the situation. The result is that Kate will remain socially isolated and unable to enjoy the many rewards of social relationships. Now, the second area to discuss is the way we react to the bodily changes that occur when you're anxious. You may think it's important to try to remedy the physical sensation as soon as possible and then become fixated on the physical sensation itself and on ridding yourself of it. Have you found yourself feeling short of breath or breathing at an increased rate and feeling the need to remove yourself from the situation? Maybe a social gathering, and quickly go outside to gain fresh air, or pushing at your chest while it's happening. Your lungs are working just fine, and it's important to remind yourself that it will pass. Your breathing will return to a reasonable rate, and you will breathe enough air into your lungs. I would suggest you try to slow your breathing rate and take some full breaths in and out. But that's the most you need to do. There's no need to poke at your chest if it's feeling tight. You can be aware your chest is feeling tight and remind yourself that it will pass. This also applies if you feel suddenly very hot or cold. Do not start removing clothing or running to the nearest heater. It's about reminding yourself this is not a dangerous sensation and that it's part of the anxiety and it will pass. By focusing on the physical symptoms of anxiety and trying frantically to get rid of them, you convince yourself that you cannot cope and inadvertently increase your anxiety levels further. This often leads to anxiety about having anxiety, and I'm sure you can relate to the negative cycle this creates. It's crucial that you're kind to yourself when you're in the thick of experiencing your anxiety, and remind yourself that you're doing the best you can at the moment. It's critical to remember that your anxiety symptoms will pass and focus your attention on the task at hand, which may be creating a conversation with the person in front of you or listening to what someone is saying. And now, drum roll please, the third area is trying to keep your anxiety in social situations a secret. Often with social anxiety comes shame and embarrassment, a desire to appear in control. Clients have often told me their worst fear is that other people will find out how anxious I am. This often leads to attempts to act in a certain way in front of others, or to again revert to the first area we spoke about, avoidance. Shame and embarrassment fuel the idea that you have something to hide, some part of yourself which is so negative that you decide you should hide it from others. This leads to secrecy, and this does not help your conquering your social anxiety. The need to keep your social anxiety a secret leads you to oppose the symptoms, and this is where we return to the second area that we discussed, the overreaction to physical symptoms of anxiety. Now maybe you can relate to one or all of these ways of trying to overcome the social anxiety. I hope I've helped in your understanding of why these strategies or thought processes don't work in a productive way. I have evidence-based, tried, true, and tested strategies to help you manage your social anxiety symptoms, and I can't wait to let you know what they are. It's about conquering your social anxiety. Now, thanks very much for listening to this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.